Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Going to do this list, man. I'm excited for it. But if you're brand new to the channel, and today I want to see what this guy's list looks like. Well, do me a favor and subscribe. If you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, we're almost into New Year's. What a nice little present that would be. If you say, you know what, Happy New Year, fuckface, take my subscription. Okay, that's nice. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. 2023 is going to be a fun year, but 2022 is a really good year for movies, man. And we're going to be doing a top 10 favorite movies, as we're doing right now. We're going to do a top 10 most anticipated and a top 10 best TV shows. We're doing all that. So thank you for joining me here. Top 10 best movies, favorite movies, whatever. And it's my list. So there might be some stuff on here that you agree with. There might be some stuff on here that you say, I don't know, I don't think I would have put that on there. The movie stinks. Well, then it doesn't have to be on your list. So nobody's list is right, nobody's list is wrong. How about that? You ever think about that? Good. Now that we got that settled, let's get into it. All right, everybody, let's start right away. It was a good year, and I will say this, there's a lot of movies that I still have not seen. There's a lot of movies yet that I have not seen that maybe if you're wondering, and I answer a lot of questions in the comments. Someone's like, oh, how come that? I'm surprised that wasn't on your list. I might not have seen it. There's some movies that people loved that I thought were okay. It wasn't on my list. But number 10, just saw it recently. Missed it in the theater, but had a chance to see it on a screener, and that was The Fablements. That's Steven Spielberg's. It's a long movie. It's a little long, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a nice movie. I thought it was a good movie about family. I thought it was a good movie about achieving your dreams. And that's what I really liked about it. Yeah, it's loosely based on Spielberg's life, about this kid who has this love for film, finds his voice through film, finds himself through film. Meanwhile, going through some family stuff and some anti-Semitism as he goes to school, and these things that he has to battle through. But it's about believing in himself, who he is, true to himself, to really explore the gift that he was given. And I thought that it played really well. There's some great performances. Michelle Williams getting a lot of love for this role, as I can understand for sure. And Paul Dano, to me, was a real standout in the movie. I think he's had a pretty tremendous year, and I think he plays the father really, really well here, and the father who appreciates the kid's talent but doesn't think it's going to go anywhere, but he's never a jerk to him. He's just he just doesn't know and doesn't understand and has to develop throughout the movie. But I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I'm glad I got a chance to see it. All right, so another movie that I'm really happy I got a chance to see recently, because it came out earlier in the year, and Roxy Stryer and Steph Sabral, they couldn't shut up about it. They love this movie. And I said, is it that good? And boy, were they right. At number 9, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I didn't know anything about this movie whatsoever. I thought it was a full animated movie. It isn't. It's got more so like I wouldn't say Roger Rabbit, because the only thing really animated is this little seashell, Marcel, voiced by Jenny Slate. And it's really sweet, man. It really, it's the story is essentially this guy who's a filmmaker and who actually who directs the film for real, and he wrote it with Jenny, and they have this incredible relationship, these two, because Marcel is this shell who was basically abandoned. He lives with his I think it's not his grandma, I think it's his aunt. I don't remember. Either way, they live there, and something happened to the rest of the shells. So there's this documentary that's made by this guy who's renting out the house for Airbnb, and finds out the story of how Marcel lost his family and his friends, and they have this. It's like it's shot in this mini documentary kind of style, and following the life of Marcel, and it's a cute little sweet movie. It really is, and I didn't know what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised. But I highly recommend it. I think it's good for kids, and it's one of those movies that just makes you smile. So I would highly recommend Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That's coming in at number 9. Now, a lot of these movies are long on my list, a lot of them. One of them that's a little long, but I was okay with it, was Elvis, and that's number 8. Now, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, I didn't know what to expect from this movie either, because who the hell knew who Austin Butler was? But when you see the trailers, this is the example of in a movie where obviously Elvis Presley, his name, okay, curious to do in an Elvis movie. But who's playing him? That's always going to be the question. Who's playing him? And then this trailer comes out, and you're like, who's Austin Butler? I think he was in I don't know what the hell he was in. But he shows up, and boy, he just becomes. There's certain times where people, when they're set in these roles in these biopics, and they just become the person. Because we just did a best of movies and TV on the big thing with Dan and Roca, and we talked about how this movie could have failed if it was just an impression of Elvis, and it wasn't. He captured the essence, and I think it was a great collaboration between Lerman and Austin Butler. Now, some people don't like the performance of Tom Hanks. They think it's a little cartoony. I liked it. I went back and watched old footage, and I do think he was. It was definitely an exaggerated performance, but I liked the idea that it was told from his point of view. I liked the idea that it was this villain that took advantage of Elvis. But it gets you back into the spirit of Elvis. It makes you, it gets you into the music, and it just learning the story in a different point of view. So Elvis to me was one that stood out for sure. All right, number 7. This one is another one that I just watched recently. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Man, now we've all seen Pinocchio 1,000 times over. This is a movie, and when I was listening to Del Toro talk about this in general, he said this is a story that you've heard, but you've never heard it told like this. And he's right. There are, or he said even along the lines of you're familiar with it, but not as familiar as you think, something like that. But there's these certain moments that you know from the Pinocchio story, whether it's the creature or him performing in the theater or, going off to school and Geppetto making him or whatever, making him, and then for in the sense of loss, whatever it might be. Those things are there. However, there are certain ways and certain spins on what they do with the stop animation inside of this, but the voiceover work, I thought that Christoph Waltz was great. Ewan McGregor playing Sebastian the Cricket. There's a lot to it. And as I mentioned before, the Fablements, the thing I really enjoyed about this is a message about believing in yourself, being true to who you are, believing in the persona that you are, that you can be, what makes you you. And there were some new spins inside of the Pinocchio lore that I liked a lot, but it also was very you knew Del Toro did it, but it didn't overpower the film. This is a Del Toro. This is just Del Toro being Del Toro. That never felt in there. You felt his presence, but you felt his presence in the way that makes him such a masterful storyteller. It's gorgeous. And Michael Gustafson, I think, co-directed it with him as well, too. They did a great job. It's gorgeous. The music's really good. It's emotional. And I really was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I had heard good things, but I heard good things about other movies, and I just went, okay. This is one that was right away. So this is definitely going to make the list. What a fantastic film this is. Enjoyed it a lot. All right, number 6 is The Northmen. Not a lot of people are talking about this movie as much. When it first came out, I felt like there's more hype on it. But it's kind of died down since. I love this movie. Robert Eggers directed. Now, I like The Witch. It was good. People love The Witch. I liked it. And what's it? The Lighthouse is the other one. This is my favorite out of the movies he's done so far because it's just more my speed. The overall, the cast in general, from Alexander Skarsgård and Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy, who's obviously been in Robert Eggers stuff before, but it's Willem Dafoe. There's so many great actors in it, but man, this is such a crazy movie, and it's about Skarsgård, who goes through a tragedy. He's Viking. He goes through a tragedy when he's younger, comes back later on to have some revenge, and then some. It's very Shakespearean. It is dark. It is beautiful. It's the way how it's shot, and it really stood out to me. So that's why it comes in pretty high for me at number 6. Now, another one that's going to probably be on nobody's list except mine, these top 10. I'm not saying that people didn't like the movie, but I don't know if I've heard people talk about it as much as I have. It just really resonated with me at number 5, and that's Adam Sandler's Hustle. Now, this was a movie that came out on Netflix. I was not expecting anything from it at all. Adam Sandler puts out a Netflix movie, it seems like every other Thursday, so I didn't know what this was. So then when I heard it was a more dramatic role, I said, well, wait a minute. when has he missed dramatically? Even if the movie hasn't been great, when has his performance missed dramatically? He's fantastic in dramatic roles. There is some comedy in the role, but it is not an Adam Sandler comedy. This is a story about a NBA scout who was looking to make a move in his career, and something happens where he's got to go back into the field again, and he finds a phenom of a player, and he's got to get him into the draft in time, and he wants to he tries his hardest to make this work. This is his last shot. This is his last move in his career to really, to shine. And it is Adam Sandler at his best. It's another one that, like I said, there's some humor in it, but there's some great family moments in it, whether it's Queen Latifah, who plays Adam Sandler's wife, his daughter. In general, there's just so much happening in the movie that I was so shocked at how much. I was talking about the movie for quite a while after I saw it, because it just stayed there with me, and I felt good watching it. And whenever you have one of these feel-good movies with good performances and overall just a good character story that hits with family, you're going to get me. So that's why it came so high at number 5. Now, number 4 to me is The Batman. Now, I know that even inside of the review, I said, and I stick by, I still think it's a little long. I think it plays much better on, well, first of all, it plays great in the theater, but it plays even better on the rewatch when you watch it again and watching what Matt Reeves does with the performances of Robert Pattinson, Andy Serkis, Zoe Kravitz, like so on and so on, and obviously Colin Farrell and Paul Dano, but Colin Farrell just stands out as the Penguin so much. It's this David Fincher take from Matt Reeves, and I think that's what I love about the movie. For me, the stuff that really plays is the stuff in the beginning, right? Not the beginning, for the majority of the movie is this non-traditional Batman movie that we've seen, and we get to see the detective side of Batman, and he's discovering himself and trying to figure out exactly who the mask of Bruce Wayne is, and Alfred's telling him, you got to put this facade on, and he's like, nah, this is who I am now, I'm the Batman. And the ending felt a little bit more traditional Batman, and a lot of people loved that. I thought it was good, but I thought compared to the rest of the movie, how fantastic it was. It was the only thing that I was like, okay, that's good. I enjoyed it, and I understand they have to give that to us because it's a Batman movie, but it's the stuff leading up to it and the fact that they went that dark with it. I mean, I think it's PG-13, but it feels like a rated R film, even the opening of it in general. This is a really, really good take on the movie. I can't wait for the second one. And yeah, I loved it. So I would say the Batman is my number 4. Now, the top 3 were not easy to make. They all shifted around and moved around in certain places in my head, but this is where I landed. At number 3, Everything Everywhere All at Once. What a creative movie this was, because if you've been watching long enough, you guys know that I am a big multiverse guy. I mean, and way before, like, what, Shark, you watch the Marvel films and everything? No, I've been into the multiverse and the idea of multiverse way before anybody in the mainstream was even doing it. I try to read up about it as much as I can and understand it and the possibilities and all of that stuff. And this was so clever, this film by Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who also wrote it, starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephen Sue, Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course, the return of the one and only Ke-Huy Quan. This is a really, really fun, interesting film. Now, not only is it's a drama that focuses on family, it's got humor in it. It is definitely, this is what I love about the movie. You can call it a really great science fiction movie. You can call it a good comedy. You can call it a good family film. You can call it all these things. And it's a relationship between the mother and daughter that really plays well. The trying to figure out inside the hardships of marriage. But the science fiction stuff is where you're going to grab me if you can target it the right way. And there's a couple things in the movie that I was like, okay, that's a little silly, and you probably know what scenes I'm talking about. But it made sense for what they were doing inside of the movie. It just, for me, I was like, okay, it just took me out of it for a split second. But overall, filmed just, I mean, masterfully, acted masterfully. Everything about the movie just is, it's so different, and it was on a low, and this is, shows you that I love movies like this, where this is not like a massive budget film, but it feels like it is sometimes because of the way that it's shot and the way that it, you can make movies like this and really strike magic. And that's what happened here. There is something special about this movie and a reason why it's getting all the recognition that it is. And it's a great rewatch. It has a nice kind of, it pulls on that Matrix thing a little bit too. I don't want to ruin too many of the details if you haven't seen the movie, but there's just there's some things where you can, the way you can access the multiverse and the way that you can play into it, that I thought worked really well. It's a very creative film. All right, the last two. Now these were tough to put in there. Now I know that my number two is going to be controversial to a lot of people, because there's some people who are going to agree and love it, and there's other people who hated it before they even saw it, and still just thought it was just okay and just a visual spectacle, and that's Avatar: The Way of Water. I've seen it twice now. It got better the second time, and I loved it the first time. I went and saw it a second time with my daughter. I saw it in 3D IMAX. And yes, obviously, going into this movie that it's going to be a visual just masterpiece as far as the visuals go. Now, it has to hit on a emotional level and a character level, which it did for me. I don't know, maybe it didn't do it for you, and that's cool. But for me, it did it. And especially, I think that I feel, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like the people it really resonated with were parents. And that's intentional. There's a heavy emphasis on the children in this one, and it was one of my biggest concerns. I thought they were going to push back the main characters, and they don't. Well, they do, kind of, actually. I should say that, but in a way where it doesn't hurt the movie. It elevates it, and it builds on these characters that we're going to probably be with for the next couple of movies. But as a visual experience, there's nothing that beats these movies. It really, there just isn't. You feel like you're maybe a ride at Universal Studios. I don't know, but I mean, there are times, and I agree. If that's the only thing you ride is, if you're going, well, that's all you got is just the visuals. That's the only thing that it is. I get bored with it after a while. Then I understand if you didn't like it. But as I said, I think that between the music, the way that it's shot, the performances, Zoe Saldana, I think she won't be looked at for an award. I think she should. I think that what she does in this movie, she does. There's a few different things she does in this movie, and in one particular scene that she just really got me, really got me, and both times that I saw it. And I think that and James Cameron should also be looked at for Best Director. And being able to return you to Pandora in that way and keep you that, I feel like it was a way more original story, the first one, and I like the first movie, but this one to me is I want to go back to Pandora soon, and I'm glad they basically already shot movie 3, at least the majority of it. So that lands at number 2. So I'm thinking that maybe, if you know me well enough, at number 1, not a surprise, and that's Top Gun Maverick. This is a movie I was looking forward to because of the original reason why is for nostalgia. And sure, I'll go see Top Gun. I liked the first one when it came out. I liked it a lot. So I'm excited to see the second one. It should be fun. And it was pushed back in 2019 was supposed to come out or whatever. Pushed back. Obviously, because of the pandemic, Paramount wanted Cruise to put it on Paramount Plus. He said, no way. I'm putting it out in the theaters. They waited. It was supposed to come out in 2021. Didn't happen. Came out in 2022. And what a smart decision it was, because this, to me, is just why you go to the movies. I didn't, in a world of, and nothing against superhero movies and big science fiction movies, as I just mentioned, I'm obviously a fan of them. I just loved having a different adventure in the theater. And yes, it was characters that I knew, but this movie is superior than the first movie, and I love the first movie because of how much more development there is behind it. The first movie is, to me, an 80s classic. It's an 80s classic, and I enjoyed watching it back then, and I don't think it's a movie that you can pick up today if you've never seen it before and go, whoa, it's amazing. There are some people who would, but it was a movie for its time. This is a movie that you don't have to love the first movie to really enjoy it. And it takes the old generation, whether it's Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer And with the new generation of put it with Miles Teller and Glenn Powell and Danny Ramirez and all these characters that are in the movie, and the way that they play it, and from the visually how they shot it and actually being in the planes and all that, it just added to just a tremendous experience. I've seen the movie. I saw the movie in the theater twice. But I've now seen it again another 2 or 3 times. I can't remember, but it just never gets old. The way that it plays, I think it is a really incredible film that is able to take not just the spectacle of a blockbuster, but take really good stories and really good moments and blend them into this one wonderful film. That's my top 10, man. That's my top 10. There are other ones that didn't make it. There are other ones that I didn't see. People about the ones that I'll address right away is Banshees of Inisherin. Everyone's like, well, what about that? You got to see that one, man. You'll love it. I did see it. I liked it. Glass Onion. I liked it. It's just that they're not in my top 10. Certain movies just resonated with me. Those I liked. There are other movies that The Black Phone. I almost it was a movie that I really enjoyed watching, which that's usually horror movies are never even in my radar, but that one I liked a lot. And I missed a few others, but I'm so curious. First of all, put your list in there. I'd love to see your list. And then second, tell me which ones you thought might have been on my list and you were shocked that weren't. I want to see if maybe I haven't seen those or not. Like, for example, I didn't see Tar. I want to see that one. I've missed a few. I missed The Woman King. I want to see that one as well. So if there's a few others that you think that I should have seen that might have been on my list, let me know. I gotta hear it. So as I said, this is the top 10 best movies. We're going to get the top 10 best TV shows. That'll be probably out a little later on today or tomorrow. I don't know yet. I'll probably maybe wait. I'm not sure, but soon. And then top 10 anticipated as we get to 2023. Got a lot going on in 2023, man, so I hope you join us for the ride. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the list. I appreciate you so much, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace.